Marianah Lourens met Kuns en Vermaak. Yes, Marianah Lourens with art and entertainment here on Bay FM 107.9. And I am so excited because I've got two amazing artists. And how do I know they're amazing? Because I looked at their art. I stalked them on Facebook and I saw them. And so I want to say very, very welcome, Evelyn Burger.
Thanks.
Or Evie, as all your friends know you.
Thank you, Marianah.
And of course, Wessel Kotzee. Is nie Kotzee nie, is nie Kotzee nie, is Kotzee.
K met twee e's in die einde. Ja.
Welcome. We'll speak English because of our big footprint where people speak English. And everybody understands English these days. They won't all understand our Afrikaans, I think, sometimes.
Yes.
But welcome, both of you, because you're going to have a conference and you're calling it the Breakthrough Creative Arts Conference, Gebega. That is this year's conference.
Correct.
And it's happening in a few days' time because...
Time flies.
Time flies, yes, exactly. Because you're starting on the 12th.
That's right. It's 3 full days, 12th to the 14th.
Who's going to start first telling us about the conference?
Why I think I need to mention this is, I remember when I heard about the conference to start, when the seed was planted for the conference, Evie went down with Sonja Stumpfer at a conference in Stellenbosch. They were introduced to this thing about a calling to have a yearly conference in Port Elizabeth. So then they had one, and I remember the second one, somebody said to me, no, then I must go there. And then I thought, no, I'm not going to go to a conference with a lot of weird people. So I need to say this because, and then I think it was also more thing about just being insecure in my own, where I stand within this fitting into a group, because I think the conference is to get a lot of people, like-minded people together that also feels a bit weird. And in any case, then after I felt I lost out on that year's one, then for 2 years there was no conference because of COVID. So I had to sit and wait for this third one, or the one that was last year. And what a blessing. What an absolute blessing to be with a lot of weird people and you feel normal in the situation. Yeah.
This was now while you were planning this one, or at the previous conference?
That was the previous one.
That was the previous conference.
22.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I think this will be the third one in Port Elizabeth. If I've got my numbers
yeah.
right.
I think so.
What Wessel says is so true, that as creative people, we're often aware that we don't quite fit the normal mold, whatever that can be. It's a struggle that we all interface with throughout our lives, but it's so important that we are able to find a community, like Wessel said, the community, and grow and learn things within that, where we get to be inspired by other people's journeys or helped in saying, oh, do you also have that? Yes, I feel what you feel. It's great.
Yeah, it's the testimonies of, like I said now, where I had to break the mold of trying to think that weird is not normal.
Yes.
And and then when you come around and you hear that you're not the only person that struggles with it, and suddenly you get that breakthrough, that release of the things that should come out, where it's been sort of subdued for a while.
You know, and also I think that all the arts, people think you're weird. I know that because I've been in shows, performing on stage, and they just don't relate always. So it's nice to be, as you say, with like-minded people. Even though in the performing arts, you get some really weird ones, which we even in the performing arts say they're weird.
I've been thinking about this a lot in the last week. I think this sense of people who are, their entire life is immersed in their craft or their creativity, that it seems from the outside to not, how does that work? But I'm more and more becoming aware, and I think this is something we want to try and address in these conferences, is that it's okay to be so completely passionate about what your voice, who you are recognizing yourself to truly be, and what it is that has been given to you to express life in God's kingdom, all those things. And it is extreme often, but more and more people are actually hungry for being authentically all in.
Yes, and we need to nurture the talents that God has given us, because the arts, be it music, be it making the music or listening to the music, be it creating the sculpture or observing it, painting the painting or looking at it, it's therapeutic. And it's God's using the talents that He's given to His creation to actually create those.
Yeah, it flows through us and it overflows into the surroundings that we're in. So you get that mold that you've got, like the sieve, which is your talent. Then something from the outside comes in, it needs to go through you. And then once it's like sort of worked around within you, it just pours itself in a fresher way into the next person, which can take it over and do the same. So it's that we need each other.
Indeed. Yeah. And Wessel, I saw that you're a landscape artist and you did something at Schoenmakerskop. And this is from above, is it? This picture that I'm looking at. It was quite a big venture that you guys did.
Yes, it's an interesting story. When I was cleansed from my being weirdness, during lockdown, we had this prophetic Zoom meetings. It's a whole group over the whole of South Africa. And during one of the meetings that we had, Karen Blanche, a lady from Paris, said she just has this, she just sees God's face being planted in Port Elizabeth. Now, I'm sitting on this group and I'm the only landscaper. So I just knew this was a calling, that I could walk into. So then it was an interesting story because there was a few things that we needed to do that needed to be viewed from above, as you mentioned. It needed to be open space for people to just ponder and just eventually walk into. So there were lots of little things and we had to get permission from a community. So it was difficult the first bit because we needed land to do this on. So we got little pieces here and there but never worked really. And then I did a paint. A friend of mine introduced me to Rita Taylor from Sacramento Restaurant, and she and myself introduced me because she wanted a painting done. So when I went to the first day, because she laid out a trail in the back of it, so shared the same passion. So then there was a little space there, and she said to me, when I told her about this calling that we had, come and do it here, but it was small. And a friend of mine still said, man, just ask it, what's the space we can have. So we went there for a meeting. She said, no, you can take out whatever you want as long as we just reuse it. And then we got a space of 25 meters by 20 meters, which we then had to lay out this face of Jesus, because that was the face of Jesus. And could you watch it
from a higher point?
We started, this was a difficult one, because we started off then with needing to get a reference from it. And there's a beautiful story to this as well, especially us being a group of artists. There was 5 of us that worked on this, 5 laborers. For 7 days, we started and cleared things and laid out this huge footprint. That was divine inspired.
Like a face print.
Yes. Yeah. So we were looking for an image to use, and I went to Barkensverlede one day, and against one of the walls there was this spray painted face of Jesus, little, about an A4 size. And we used that, blew it up to that size. We used a grid to lay out the lines to get the proportions right. And in all of this, I think twice did we get a drone photo of it, just at the right.
To confirm that it wasn't completely out of alignment.
Because looking from it horizontally is massive, and it's so abstract. And then suddenly you had to have that overall view, which was so beautiful for all of us, because as you've got the picture in front of you now, the face looks so sensitive. That was something that blew us the whole time. And also what happened with it as we carried on, because we were 5 working on it, it changed. Each put his little footprint in it. And the beauty of it is, I think it's really a neutral face.
Absolutely. Any nationality can relate to this.
Well.
That's right.
Because this is what I noticed immediately, that these features any nationality can relate to.
And that was quite interesting when...
didn't look delicately white, aristocratic or anything like that. I think this is what Jesus could have looked like.
On Kingfisher, when we had an interview there, we placed it, and then you always have people commenting, from a negative point of view. And that was one of the first things that a few that came up. Who is it? White? Is it black? Is it Muhammad? Is it whatever? And that was quite interesting, because the more we started looking at this and the more it progressed, I even realized. But what was interesting, somebody pointed out the little bench that we put at the top, which was by pure accident because of the height, the vantage point. And then somebody mentioned, what's the name of that little thing that...
Phylactery.
Yes.
The Jews wore. When they pray. Yes. It does look like that to me too.
So that immediately gives a nationality of Jew and Jesus.
Look at it. Is it still there?
It hopefully will be there for a very long time.
Okay, so it's at Schoenmakers and they must go and art at Sacramento. You also are a portrait painter, Wessel.
One of his many talents.
So it's not only landscape portraits you make, you do commissions for families and faces and stuff like that.
I love putting a story together with a portrait. Especially somebody just asked me in lockdown to do a portrait of their grandchild. Now, she had this, I sent me videos, what do they like, and I realized this child was playing with these 4x4 and puzzles and stuff. And eventually it turned out into such a beautiful painting with all of these elements. And it was massive, about 1.5 by 1.5 with the face in the middle. So that's the kind of stuff.
They were over the moon.
They were over the moon,
yeah.
And I love color. The interior aspect of that merged with the story, with the actual image of the portrait.
So
I think
if
that's what
people want to have their portraits, their children, their grandchildren, Wessel is the guy to contact. But let's get to Evie now, because when I stalked you, Evie, I saw your versatile art, very versatile actually.
Yes.
But I saw this beautiful, beautiful picture. And you've led workshops and you've done all kinds of things.
Yes.
But just this picture.
That is one of my more recent works. And yes, there is a portrait element to it as well. It's really the start of a new style, perhaps, that I feel I'm moving into. It wasn't even planned. But I think what I wanted to maybe link just my art to something about the conference. Because I've noticed that everyone who is speaking at this conference, there seems to be a theme. Obviously, the name Breakthrough is the theme that, sort of flows through everything. Yeah. Yes. But we have speakers like Christine Walland. She will address creative writing because she has got such a gift with using words, crafting words into a story. Then Duncan Stewart. Many people in Port Elizabeth are familiar with Duncan Stewart, and he will speak again about creativity, which is something that is so on his heart that it becomes part of every aspect of life, and particularly has a passion for how it can affect education. Tess Lovemore, she was just sharing with me briefly how her heart is to help people understand that kingdom affects every single aspect of life, not just a Sunday morning or a Sunday evening, that it is how do we do our finances from a kingdom perspective? How do we do our dancing from a, or relationships or health?
We've known Tess Lovemore since she was probably just after she left school.
Yes.
We met her.
Yes. And I think this is the thing. And then, so in dancing, Samantha Jensen will speak about her experience and her journey through using dance as a form of expression. And I think this is what is the key, is that people will come and go, I know that I have this talent. I know that I have this thing that's burning in me, but how do I apply it? More specifically, to make it just seamlessly flow in the rest of my life, in every day, in everything.
Indeed.
Whether it's at home, in the workplace, on the street. How do I do evangelism? It doesn't have to be a separate compartment. Let's be creative. Let's find new ways which have been restricted possibly in our old understanding of church, our old understanding of religion.
That I heard someone once say, and I actually believe it, that God is not always in church.
No.
God is where His people are. So where we are, there He is.
Yes.
And the thing is, you don't have to be a preacher to express a message.
Yes.
And the therapy, of course, that comes through. But now my techie told me about 10 minutes ago that we've got 5 minutes left. So I want to know how people can, because there's still time to register quickly, few days, but you've still got time to register. How do I register if I want to be?
Yes.
So tell us all the ins and outs of the
I know that Sonia has definitely posted on all the different social media platforms.
Okay, so
Facebook.
they can look on Breakthrough Creative Arts Conference.
Yes.
And they'll see there, they can register there.
Absolutely.
And they'll see all the details.
Yes. And maybe just to say, the conference takes place at Harvest Church. There are several studios behind the main building where this will take place, and it costs 950 Rand, which includes lunches, tea, coffee, rusks, and also art supplies. It's 3 days.
Yeah.
That 950 covers, yes. There's nothing you really need to bring along.
Yeah, and there'll be people speaking speaking, and there will also be practical.
Yes, workshops. That's right.
There'll be
Yes,
workshops,
Yes.
speakers, and there'll be art on display.
No, I
Some.
don't think we did.
Not really.
Last year we did, but we just felt it was so condensed
Yes.
that people needed a bit of a breather in between just before
There's
they
a
get
bit
to
of
the
a
overload or overwhelm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So Jubilee Evans is doing a workshop on acrylics for beginners. There might be many people interested in that who said, I've always wanted to paint, but I've always been too scared or whatever. Then there's Vicky Fourie. She is doing about writing devotional. Then Sonia is also speaking about healing and art. So can you see how diverse these things are? Tess Lovemore, deeper intimacy with God, becoming that voice, of kingdom expression. I'm going to offer a jelly plate printing workshop.
Printing.
Yes. It is fascinating. And most people who have done this with me, they just don't want to stop. We're going to have to...
You have to be a bit more...
Okay.
What is it? Jelly plate.
And what's also quite nice about the kind of stuff that it can take you out of a little bit of your comfort zone into somebody else's way of thinking about, like the jelly plate.
Yeah. So tell us about the jelly plate.
Yeah. Okay, it's just really, you can buy these, but they're very expensive because they get imported. You make it from gelatine and glycerine and some alcohol, white spirits, and then you just set it in however thick you want it, and it's flexible. And you just use a roller and acrylic paint, printing ink, and you can do such an array of things.
You can put color in?
Yes, so it's a type of mono printing. You can't make huge additions with this, but, but instead of painting, it's just a different way.
It's a way of playing, scribbling,
and is it
pushing stuff into it.
Flat? Is it a flat?
It is flat.
Piece?
Yes, but because the gelatine is soft. You mean what you print on?
The result
is a flat end.
It will be, we're going to be mostly printing on paper and possibly some...
but it can be...
It can be
framed
displayed.
or displayed on a wall.
Yes.
Because when you hear plate, you think ceramics.
Okay,
you know
I
what I'm
understand
saying?
what you say. No, the plate is really just the vehicle with which you print.
But it's a flat plate. It's a flat.
It is flat, and you're just using it to create your images that you then transfer onto paper or whatever.
And what's also nice about it, imagery develop in it, and then afterwards you can read a story into it without having to force an actual image.
Okay, so this is all going to be at the Breakthrough Creative Arts Conference, 12th to 14th, and it's around the corner. The cost is $9.50. It includes lunches, teas, coffees, rusk, all supplies are there. And it's going to be at Harvest Church at the back, at the classrooms there. And it's going to be amazing. So if you want to be part of it, go to Breakthrough Creative Arts Conference on Facebook. All the details are there. You can register there. You can find out more there. If you fail, contact me, whatever. But thank you so much, Evie, for coming. Evelyn Burger. And thank you so much, Wessel Kotzee, for coming.
Marianne.
It was really a pleasure, and what an exciting event.
Yes.
So I wish you all the blessings with this conference. I'm getting cold shivers, actually. Now it's time for me to say goodbye. Marianah Lourens en Art and Entertainment. Ja, Marianah Lourens, met kuns en vermaak, wat nou groet met Arrivari.